My sister was kissing my husband when my water broke 5 months early. Blood pooled beneath me on their bed. She didn't even stop. I stood frozen in the doorway of what used to be my childhood bedroom. My sister Meadow, the one who held my hair when I was sick, who promised to be my baby's godmother, had her hands tangled in my husband's hair. His shirt was on the floor. Her dress was bunched around her waist. They were so lost in each other they didn't hear me enter. Then the cramp hit. Sharp. Violent? Wrong. I looked down and saw red spreading across my white dress. The kind of red that means you're losing everything. My knees buckled. The sound I made wasn't human. It was the sound of a mother watching her world collapse. That's when they finally looked at me. My husband's face went white. But my sister? She smiled. Actually smiled. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't a mistake. This was planned. This was her taking everything I had. My husband, my baby, my life. She wanted me to find them. She wanted me to break. What she didn't know was that the man she was touching wasn't just my husband. He was Raffaello Torrente, and men like him don't forgive. They erase. Tell me this. Would you survive one night in this world or would you run? Comment, stay or escape? The smell hit me first. Meadow's signature jasmine perfume mixed with something else. Whiskey and sweat and betrayal. I stood in the doorway of my childhood bedroom, the one with the sunflower wallpaper our mother had chosen when I was 12. The same room where Meadow and I used to share secrets, where she'd held me after my first heartbreak. Now she was creating my worst one. Her legs were wrapped around my husband's waist. His hands gripped her thighs like he was drowning and she was air. They were so consumed by each other that they didn't hear my keys drop, didn't hear my sharp intake of breath, didn't hear my heart shatter into 1,000 pieces on the hardwood floor. Then the pain came. It started low in my abdomen, a twisting sensation that felt like someone had reached inside and squeezed. I looked down at my swollen belly, 20 weeks halfway to meeting my daughter, and watched a dark stain bloom across my white maternity dress. Red. Too much red. No, I whispered. Then louder, no, no, no. The sound that tore from my throat wasn't words. It was primal. The cry of a mother watching her world end in real time. My knees gave out and I grabbed the doorframe, but my legs were useless. I crumpled to the floor, blood pooling beneath me. That's when they finally noticed me. Raffaello's face drained of color. He shoved Meadow away so hard she stumbled, scrambling to pull his shirt on. Celestine. Oh God, Celestine. But I couldn't look at him. My eyes were locked on my sister. Meadow stood there, dress bunched around her waist, hair wild, lipstick smeared. And she smiled. Not a nervous smile. Not an apologetic smile. A satisfied smile. The smile of someone who'd gotten exactly what she wanted. You weren't supposed to be here until 3, she said calmly, smoothing her dress down. Like I'd interrupted her book club, not caught her destroying my life. Another cramp seized me, sharper this time. I pressed my hands to my stomach, trying to hold my baby inside through sheer willpower. Help me, I gasped. Please. The baby... Raffaello was already on his phone, barking orders in Italian. His voice was frantic, desperate. But Meadow? She walked to the mirror and started fixing her makeup. You should have seen your face, she said, reapplying her lipstick with steady hands. I've been planning this for months. Did you really think you could have everything? The perfect marriage? The perfect pregnancy? The perfect life? You're insane, I choked out. Blood was soaking through my dress now, warm and terrifying. I'm your sister. You're nothing. She turned to face me, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Pure hatred. You took everything from me. You were always the favorite, always the golden child. Well, now I'm taking it back. The sound of sirens cut through the air. Raffaello was beside me, pressing towels against my legs, his hands shaking. The ambulance is coming, amore. Stay with me. Stay with our baby girl. I wanted to push him away, to scream at him. But I needed him. My daughter needed him. Meadow grabbed her purse. I should go. This looks complicated. She paused at the door, glancing back at the three of us. Me bleeding on the floor, Raffaello. Covered in my blood, the evidence of their betrayal scattered around the room. Oh, and Celestine, when you lose that baby, remember, this was your fault. You should have stayed away. The last thing I saw before the paramedics rushed in was my sister's smile as she disappeared down the hallway. The fluorescent lights in the ICU were too bright. Everything was too bright, too loud, too real. Machines beeped around me, monitoring the fight happening inside my body. My baby's heartbeat, my blood pressure, the medications keeping both of us alive. Placental abruption triggered by extreme emotional distress, the doctor had explained, her voice clinical but kind. We're doing everything we can to stop the bleeding. But Mrs. Torrente, I need you to understand, at 20 weeks, if we can't stabilize you both. She didn't finish. She didn't have to. Raffaello sat in the corner, head in his hands. He tried to touch me when they first wheeled me in, tried to hold my hand, whisper apologies. I'd turned my face to the wall. There were no words that could fix this. No apologies that could undo what I'd seen. Celestine, please. His voice was raw. Let me explain. Get out. I can't leave you. Our daughter. You should have thought about our daughter before you touched my sister. The monitor started beeping faster. A nurse appeared, adjusting my shooting Raffaello a look that said, "Leave now." He did, but not before I saw the genuine anguish on his face. Part of me, the stupid, weak part, wanted to believe it meant something. The morphine made everything hazy. I drifted in and out, dreaming of blood and jasmine perfume and Meadows' smile. When I woke, it was dark outside. The hospital was quieter, and I heard voices in the hallway. Completely misunderstood what she saw. Meadows' voice, sugar-sweet and poisonous. Mom, you know how hormonal pregnancy makes women. I was consoling Raffaello about something work-related, and Celestine just lost it. My poor baby. Our mother's voice, thick with concern. First, the stress of the pregnancy, now this delusion. Do you think she needs psychiatric help? I tried to sit up, but pain shot through me. The monitors went wild. She's always been unstable, Meadow continued. I could picture her expression. Concerned, loving, the perfect sister. I'm worried she might hurt herself. Or the baby. Maybe it's better if she loses it. She's clearly not fit to be a mother. The nurse rushed in, silencing their conversation. She checked my vitals, adjusted medications, whispered soothing words I didn't hear. All I could hear was Meadows' voice echoing in my head. Maybe it's better if she loses it. This wasn't just about stealing my husband. This was about erasing me completely, taking my life piece by piece until there was nothing left. The door opened. Meadow walked in carrying flowers, white lilies, the kind you bring to funerals. Our mother followed, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Oh, sweetheart. Mom rushed to my bedside. Meadow explained everything. Why didn't you tell me you were having such dark thoughts? Dark thoughts? I looked at my sister, standing there in her soft pink cardigan, the picture of innocence. Mom, I caught her. The doctors say delusions are common with hormonal imbalances. Meadow set the flowers on the nightstand, so close I could smell their cloying sweetness. We're all here to support you through this. She leaned down, kissed my forehead, and whispered so only I could hear, "No one will believe you. I've already planted the seeds. You're the crazy, unstable pregnant woman. I'm the devoted sister trying to help." My blood pressure spiked. Alarms blared. Medical staff flooded the room, pushing my mother and Meadow back. Through the chaos, I saw Meadow smile again. That same satisfied smile. She'd won this round, and she knew it. As they sedated me, I made a decision through the haze of medication and pain. I would survive this. My daughter would survive this. And then I would show Meadow exactly who she was dealing with. You don't betray a Torrente and walk away unscathed. 3 days in the ICU, and Raffaello finally broke. I was staring at the monitor showing my daughter's heartbeat. Steady now, miraculous, when he walked in. Carrying coffee he knew I couldn't drink and exhaustion that showed he hadn't slept since this started. His expensive suit was wrinkled. His face was covered in stubble. He looked like a man who'd been to hell. Good. He deserved it. I need to tell you everything, he said, sitting in the chair the nurses had started calling his. No more excuses, just the truth. I don't want to hear it. Celestine, please. You need to understand what Meadow did. Something in his voice made me look at him. Really look at him. His hands were shaking. Raffaello Torrente, the man who'd stared down rival families without flinching, was trembling. She's been pursuing me for 8 months, he said quietly. It started small, showing up at my office unannounced, texting about business opportunities. I thought she was networking, trying to get ahead. I'm your husband. I wanted to help your sister. My laugh was bitter. How noble of you. Then the messages got explicit. Photos, videos, invitations to hotels. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through screenshots he'd apparently been saving. My sister in lingerie. My sister in nothing at all. Messages that made my stomach turn. She showed up drunk at my office 6 times. Security threw her out. I told her to stop. I told her I loved you, that nothing would ever happen. His voice cracked, but she kept pushing, kept saying you didn't deserve me, that you'd stolen the life she was supposed to have. So you decided to prove her right. One moment, he looked at me with genuine anguish. One goddamn moment of weakness when she cornered me after a meeting. She kissed me and I pushed her away. But she took a photo, made it look like I initiated it. He showed me his phone again. A photo of them kissing, perfectly angled to hide that his hands were on her shoulders, pushing. Another photo, cropped to make it look intimate when the full version showed him turning his head away. She said if I didn't leave you, she'd send these to you. Make you think I'd been cheating all along. Destroy you when you were already vulnerable with the pregnancy. His hands clenched into fists. I told her to go to hell. That I'd tell you myself before I let her manipulate me. So, what happened in that bedroom? She said she'd stop, that she realized she was wrong and wanted to apologize in person. She asked me to meet her at your mother's house, neutral territory, to clear the air before your baby shower. His jaw tightened. I was an idiot. I thought I could fix it. Protect you from knowing how sick she'd become. And instead, you slept with her. No. The word was sharp. I went to talk. She drugged my drink. I don't remember most of it, Celestine, but my men found traces of Rohypnol in my system when they ran tests at the hospital. She planned every detail, the timing, the location, making sure you'd walk in at exactly the right moment to see the worst possible version of events. I wanted to not believe him, wanted to cling to my anger like armor, but the pieces fit too well. Meadow's smile, her calmness, the way she'd timed everything perfectly. She wanted me to lose the baby, I whispered. She wanted you dead. Raffaello leaned forward, his voice dropping to the dangerous tone I'd only heard him use with enemies. My men investigated. Meadow's been embezzling from our businesses for months, using your name, your signatures, forging documents. She needed you discredited as unstable so she could claim power of attorney when you had a breakdown. That's insane. There's more. He pulled out a folder. She researched ways to induce miscarriage, contacted 3 different people about making it look like an accident. And 2 weeks ago, she reached out to the Marchetti family. My blood went cold. The Marchettis were our biggest rivals, the family that had tried to kill Raffaello twice. She offered them information about our security systems, our financial holdings, our legitimate businesses, all in exchange for help removing obstacles. His eyes met mine. You're the obstacle, Amore. She wants you erased so completely that it's like you never existed. The monitor started beeping faster. A nurse appeared, checked my vitals, gave Raffaello a warning look. This isn't about stealing your husband, he said as the nurse left. This is about stealing your entire life, your identity, your money, your child, and she planned to do it over your corpse. The hospital lifted my visitor restrictions after 72 hours of stable vitals. My mother could visit again. Friends could stop by. And apparently, so could Meadow. She arrived at 2 in the afternoon carrying sunflowers, my favorites, and wearing the pearl necklace I'd given her last Christmas. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her makeup subtle and perfect. She looked like the grieving sister, worried sick about her poor, unstable sibling. Selly, she used my childhood nickname, the one only she was allowed to say. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry." I didn't respond. Just watched her set the flowers on the crowded nightstand, her movements careful and deliberate. "I know you're angry with me. You have every right to be." She pulled a chair close to my bed, reaching for my hand. I jerked it away. I was drunk that day. Confused. Going through something dark that I should have talked to you about instead of... Her voice broke convincingly. "Instead of making the worst mistake of my life? Get out. Please, let me explain. Raffaello and I, it wasn't what you thought. We were talking about surprising you for the baby shower, and I got emotional, thinking about how you'd react, and he was comforting me, and I saw your hands in his hair, your legs around his waist. Don't insult me with lies." Her expression flickered, just for a second, before the mask of concern returned. "The pregnancy hormones are making you remember things differently. The doctor said that can happen with the stress you've been under. The doctor said no such thing. Mom's really worried about you." She glanced at the door, lowering her voice. "She thinks maybe you need psychiatric help. I've been defending you, telling her you're just overwhelmed, but Selly, these accusations you're making aren't healthy." I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was harsh in the quiet room. "You're good, I'll give you that. You've got Mom convinced I'm losing my mind. What's the next step? Have me committed?" Something flashed in her eyes, surprised that I'd figured it out. "I would never." "You drugged my husband. Staged the whole thing. Timed it so I'd find you and go into early labor." I kept my voice level, clinical. "What I can't figure out is whether you wanted me to lose the baby or die. Maybe both." Meadows' hand moved to Raffaello's shoulder as he entered the room. He'd been standing outside the door. "Security measure," he'd said. "Protection." The touch was possessive, intimate. She smiled up at him like they shared a secret. "Raffaello, she's having delusions again. Should we call the doctor?" He removed her hand like it was a snake. "Get away from my wife." "But you said..." I said nothing. "You're not welcome here." His voice was ice. "Security's been notified. If you come within 100 feet of this hospital, you'll be arrested." Meadows' mask cracked. Just a little. Enough for me to see the rage simmering underneath. "You'll regret this. Both of you." She leaned close to me, so close I could smell her jasmine perfume mixed with something sour. Her whisper was barely audible. "Some women aren't meant to be mothers, Selly. Maybe this is a sign. Maybe your body knows you're too weak, too broken, to raise a child. And when you lose her, and you will, just remember, I tried to spare you this pain." My blood pressure spiked. The monitors screamed. Medical staff flooded in. Raffaello grabbed Meadows' arm, hauling her toward the door while she put on a show, crying, reaching for me, calling my name like she cared. "I love you, Selly. I'm just trying to help." Security took her at the doorway. I heard her protests echoing down the hall, getting fainter. The show continuing even as she was escorted out. A nurse adjusted my adding sedatives. "Your sister's been banned from the premises. Hospital security has her photo. She won't get past the front desk." But as the medication pulled me under, I heard Meadows' whisper echoing in my mind. "When you lose her, and you will." It wasn't a prediction. It was a promise. Raffaello's men arrived at midnight with evidence that turned my blood to ice. Marco, his head of security, spread documents across the hospital tray table while another guard stood at the door. "We traced the embezzlement back 14 months, he said quietly. "Your sister's been systematic." The papers showed wire transfers, forged signatures, business documents. I'd supposedly signed while I was actually in bed with morning sickness. Meadow had used my identity to siphon money from our legitimate holdings, the restaurants, the real estate investments, the import businesses that kept us above board. $2 million, Raffaello said, his voice deadly calm. "She transferred it to offshore accounts using your name, your credentials, your identity." "How?" My hands shook as I looked at my own signature, perfectly replicated. "She had access to your documents, your passport, your social security number, Everything a sister would know. Marco pulled out more papers. But that's not the worst part. He showed me search history from Meadow's laptop. My stomach turned as I read, How to induce miscarriage in second trimester. Natural ways to cause stillbirth. Making pregnancy complications look accidental. There's more. Raffaello's jaw was tight. Show her the rest. Marco hesitated, then pulled out printed emails. Messages between Meadow and 3 different people, 2 professional hitmen and someone from the dark web, all discussing removing an obstacle and making it look natural. She was going to kill me. The words felt unreal coming out of my mouth. She was going to kill you and make it look like pregnancy complications, Raffaello corrected. One of the men she contacted specializes in medical murders. The other does staged accidents. The third. He stopped, his hands clenching. The third makes people disappear completely. The monitor started beeping faster. A nurse appeared, gave everyone a warning look, but Raffaello waved her off. And the Marquettes? I asked. She gave them our security codes, layouts of the house, your daily schedule, locations of blind spots in our surveillance. Marco's expression was grim. She offered them everything in exchange for help eliminating you and framing it on a rival family. I thought of all the times Meadow had visited in the past year. How she'd wandered through our home, claiming she was just nostalgic. How she'd borrowed my laptop for work. How she'd hugged me goodbye and said she loved me while planning my murder. This wasn't sibling rivalry, I whispered. This was a calculated execution. It gets worse. Raffaello pulled out the final document. A life insurance policy I didn't know existed, taken out 8 months ago. The beneficiary, Meadow Cade. $5 million upon my death. She's been planning this for almost a year, since before you got pregnant. His voice was raw. Everything, the affair, the embezzlement, the manipulation, it was all designed to destroy you completely. She wanted your money, your life, your identity, and she was willing to kill you and our daughter to get it. My hand went to my belly, where my baby girl was finally stable after days of fighting. Meadow hadn't just wanted to hurt me. She'd wanted to erase me so thoroughly that it was like I'd never existed. Where is she now? I asked. We don't know. Marco exchanged a look with Raffaello. She disappeared after the hospital banned her, cleared out her apartment, withdrew cash, disabled her phone. She's in the wind, which means she's planning something, I said. Raffaello's silence was confirmation enough. My sister wasn't done. She'd just gotten started, and now she had nothing to lose. They released me after 2 weeks of bed rest with strict orders, no stress, no visitors, minimal movement. My daughter was stable, but fragile. One more incident could end everything. Raffaello carried me into our home like I was made of glass. The house was exactly as I'd left it, except it wasn't. Something felt wrong. The air smelled different. Things were slightly out of place in ways only I would notice. Raffaello, my voice was tight. Has anyone been in the house? Just security. Why? I pointed to the bookshelf in the living room. My books are organized by color. They're alphabetical now. Then to the kitchen. The coffee mugs are in the wrong cabinet. Then to the photos on the mantel. That picture of us in Venice, it's been moved. His face went dark. He pulled out his phone, barking orders in Italian. Within minutes, his men swarmed the house, checking every room, every corner, every lock. Marco found it first. Evidence Meadow had been living here while I was in the hospital. Her perfume lingered in our bedroom. Her makeup was hidden in my bathroom drawer. Strands of her blonde hair on my pillow. And worst of all, our bed had been slept in. The sheets changed, but not quite right, like she'd been playing house in my absence. She had a key, Marco said grimly. Change the locks while you were hospitalized, then change them back before you came home. Security footage shows her coming and going for 5 days straight. I walked into my closet and felt my knees buckle. Half my clothes were missing. My favorite dresses. My jewelry. Personal items I'd had since childhood. All gone. Replaced with notes in Meadow's handwriting. This looks better on me. You never deserved nice things. I'm taking back what should have been mine. In the nursery, the room we'd just finished painting soft yellow, I found the final violation. Baby clothes scattered everywhere. The crib mattress slashed, and a gift box on the rocking chair. Inside were tiny preemie outfits, sizes for babies born dangerously early. Each one had a tag, for when she comes too soon, for when you can't save her, for her funeral. Attached was a note in Meadow's perfect script. Some babies aren't meant to survive, just like some mothers aren't meant to exist. I'll see you soon, sister. Sooner than you think. I dropped the box. Raffaello caught me before I hit the floor, but I was shaking so hard my teeth chattered. This wasn't theft. This was psychological warfare. Meadow had lived in my home, worn my clothes, slept in my bed, and left behind evidence that she was coming back to finish what she started. She's been watching us, I whispered. She knows when we leave, when we sleep, when we're vulnerable. Marco checked the security system and swore in Italian. She planted cameras, 7 of them. Bedroom, bathroom, nursery, everywhere. She'd been watching me, watching us, planning her next move while I fought for my baby's life in a hospital bed. A package arrived that evening, no return address, delivered by a service that accepted cash. Inside was my wedding dress, shredded to pieces. And photos. Dozens of photos of Meadow wearing it, posing in front of mirrors, smiling like a bride. The final photo showed her in our bedroom, wearing my dress and my jewelry, holding my ultrasound picture. Written on the back, "I'll have the life you stole." The husband. The house. The baby. Oh wait, you won't have a baby much longer. My condolences in advance. Letters came daily after that. Detailed descriptions of the life Meadow planned to live once I was gone. How she'd comfort Raffaello through his grief. How she'd redecorate the house. How she'd tell everyone the baby died because I was too weak, too broken, too unstable to carry her to term. Each letter was worse than the last. Each one more specific, more invasive, more proof that she was still watching somehow despite the cameras being removed. On the 7th day home, a final package arrived. Inside, baby clothes 2 sizes too small, perfectly folded. A note read simply, in case she comes early. You know she will. Your body is already failing. I can tell. I'm watching, always watching, and when you finally break, I'll be there to take everything you couldn't protect. That night, I woke to find Meadow's perfume on my pillow again. Fresh, recent, like she'd been standing over me while I slept. Raffaello tripled security, but I knew the truth. Meadow would find a way. She always did, and she wouldn't stop until one of us was dead. I woke at 3 in the morning to the sound of breathing that wasn't Raffaello's. Someone was in our bedroom, standing at the foot of our bed, watching. My eyes adjusted to the darkness, and I saw her. Meadow, holding a pillow, smiling. "Hello, sister," she whispered. "Did you miss me?" I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Tried to move, but my body was frozen in terror. 7 months pregnant, vulnerable, completely at her mercy. Shh, don't wake him yet. I want this moment just for us. She moved closer, the pillow clutched in both hands. Do you know how easy it would be? How peaceful? You just drift off. And everyone would think it was pregnancy complications. Happens all the time at your age. Meadow? My voice cracked. Please. Please what? Please don't kill you. Please spare the baby. Her laugh was soft, chilling. Why would I do that? You took everything from me, Sally. Everything. Mom always loved you more. Dad left his money to you. You got the perfect life while I got scraps. That's not true. It is. Her voice rose, then dropped back to a whisper. Every single thing you have should have been mine. The house, the money, the respect. And now you're carrying the child I'll never have. You're living the life I was supposed to live. She pressed the pillow to my face. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't fight. My hands went to my belly, trying to protect my daughter even as darkness crept in at the edges of my vision. This was how I died. Smothered by my own sister while my husband slept 3 feet away. Then Raffaello's voice cut through the darkness. Step away from her. Now. The pressure released. I gasped for air, choking, sobbing. Raffaello stood beside the bed, gun pointed at Meadows' head. Behind him, 3 of his men flooded the room. How did you... Meadow looked genuinely shocked. You think I'd leave her unprotected? Raffaello's voice was deadly calm. There are guards in every room. Sensors on every door and window. The moment you broke in, I knew. Then why let me get this close? Meadows' smile returned. You wanted to see if I'd really do it. Wanted confirmation that I'm willing to kill her. I wanted you on camera attempting murder. He nodded to the corner where a red light blinked. Now there's no question what you are. Meadows' face twisted with rage. You'll never feel safe, Celestine. Never. Even if they lock me up. Even if I disappear. You'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. Every shadow will be me. Every noise will be my footsteps. You'll never sleep peacefully again. Security grabbed her arms, but she kept talking, screaming now. You stole my life. You deserve to suffer. That baby inside you, she's mine. Everything you have is mine. They dragged her toward the door, but she fought like something wild. I'll come back. I'll always come back. You can't protect her forever, Raffaello. One mistake, one moment, and I'll take everything. Her voice echoed down the hallway as they removed her from the house. Police sirens wailed outside. But her words stayed behind, hanging in the air like poison. Raffaello pulled me into his arms, but I couldn't stop shaking. Meadow was right. Even if they arrested her, even if she went to prison, I'd never feel safe again. The sister who'd held my hair when I was sick had just tried to suffocate me and my unborn child. She's gone, Raffaello whispered against my hair. She can't hurt you anymore. But we both knew he was lying. The police took statements, showed us evidence of how Meadow had bypassed the new security, cutting power, disabling cameras, entering through a basement window we'd forgotten existed. She'd planned every detail, waited for the perfect moment, and nearly succeeded. They arrested her on attempted murder charges. The bail hearing was set for 3 days later. Meadows smiled at me as they put her in the police car. Not angry, not defeated, satisfied. Like, this was exactly what she'd wanted. And that's when I understood. She'd wanted to be caught. Wanted me to know she could get to me anywhere, anytime. Wanted me to live in fear for the rest of my life. Meadow posted bail 72 hours later. The call came from Detective Morris at 6 in the morning. Mrs. Torrente, I wanted to inform you personally. Your sister made bail through an anonymous benefactor. She's been released with a GPS monitor and restraining order, but what? Raffaello took the phone from my shaking hands. She's in the wind. Cut the monitor off 20 minutes after release. We have units searching, but the detective's voice was grim. She's gone. 3 days later, Meadow vanished completely. No trace, no leads, no body. Just gone. I should have felt relieved. Instead, the not knowing gnawed at me like acid. Was she dead? Hiding? Planning her next attack? Every creak in the house made me jump. Every shadow looked like her. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't breathe without wondering if she was watching. Raffaello wouldn't discuss it. When I asked where Meadow was, his silence said everything. When I pressed, he simply said, "You're safe now. That's all that matters." But I wasn't stupid. I knew what happened to threats in his world. People who crossed the Torrente family didn't just disappear to prison, they disappeared permanently. At 32 weeks pregnant, my blood pressure spiked again. The stress, the doctor said. The trauma. I was put back on bed rest with warnings that one more incident could trigger early labor. I spent my days staring at the ceiling, wondering if my sister was alive or dead. Wondering if I was complicit in her murder. Wondering if protecting my daughter made me as ruthless as the man I'd married. The package arrived on a Tuesday. No return address, no note. Just a small box wrapped in white paper. Inside was Meadow's locket. The one she'd worn since childhood. The one that held a photo of us as children. Smiling, innocent, before jealousy and hatred poisoned everything. No explanation, no message, just the locket. I held it in my shaking hands and understood. This was confirmation. Meadow was gone. Really gone. The kind of gone that didn't allow for goodbyes or closure or police investigations. I should have cried. Should have mourned the sister I'd lost long before she tried to kill me. Instead, I felt nothing. Just empty. Hollowed out. She's gone, I told Raffaello that night, showing him the locket. He didn't deny it, didn't confirm it, just pulled me close and said, "You're safe now. Our daughter is safe." But was that true? Or had I just traded one nightmare for another? At 37 weeks, I went into labor. Natural, healthy. Our daughter Zareen came into the world screaming and perfect, with dark hair in my nose and Raffaello's eyes. Holding her, I finally understood what Raffaello had done and why. Some threats couldn't be reasoned with. Some people were too broken, too dangerous, too consumed by hatred to ever stop. Meadow would have tried again, and again, until she succeeded or died trying. My daughter deserved to grow up safe, and if that meant blood on my hands, blood I didn't spill but tacitly approved, then so be it. I'd chosen this life when I married a mafia boss. I'd chosen it again when I decided to bring a child into his world, and I'd choose it a third time to protect her. A week after Zareen was born, I buried the locket in our garden under a rosebush. No ceremony, no prayers, just a quiet acknowledgement of the sister who'd loved me once, before envy turned her into a monster. Raffaello stood beside me, holding our daughter. "Any regrets?" he asked quietly. I looked at Zareen's perfect face and felt something hard and cold settle in my chest. No. None. I'd changed. The woman who'd walked into that bedroom months ago, naive, trusting, believing family was sacred, was gone. In her place was someone harder, wary, willing to do whatever it took to protect what was hers. "Good," Raffaello said, kissing my forehead. "Because there's no going back from this." He was right. I'd made my choice. Chosen survival over morality. Chosen my daughter over my sister. Chosen darkness over light. And I'd make the same choice again tomorrow. The first 2 weeks with Zareen should have been blissful. Instead, I spent them checking locks obsessively and jumping at every sound. Raffaello noticed. He'd find me at 3 a.m. standing over the bassinet, making sure our daughter was still breathing. Still there. Still safe. He'd guide me back to bed without words, but his eyes held worry I couldn't address. "She's gone, Celestine," he'd whisper. "Meadow can't hurt you anymore." But my body didn't believe him. Every shadow looked like her. Every creak in the floorboards was her footsteps. I couldn't sleep for more than an hour without nightmares of her standing over Zareen's crib with a pillow. The postpartum nurse, who came for our 2-week checkup, noticed the dark. Circles under my eyes, the tremor in my hands when I held my daughter. "Are you getting enough rest?" she asked gently. I lied. Said I was fine. Just adjusting to motherhood. But I wasn't fine. I was drowning in fear that had nowhere to go. Meadow was gone, probably dead. But the terror she'd planted inside me had taken root and grown into something monstrous. At 3 weeks postpartum, the package arrived that changed everything. No return address again. Just a small envelope delivered by courier who wouldn't meet my eyes. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a single photograph. Meadow. Unmistakably her. But wrong. So wrong. The image showed what was left after Raffaello's world had finished with her. I won't describe it. Couldn't if I tried. But it was proof. Final, irrefutable proof that my sister was never coming back. A note was attached in Raffaello's handwriting you needed to know. You needed closure. She can't haunt you anymore. I should have been horrified. Should have screamed or cried or felt something human. Instead, I felt the knot in my chest loosen for the first time in months. The constant terror receded. My breathing came easier. Meadow was really gone. Not in hiding. Not planning. Not waiting. Gone. I found Raffaello in his study, holding Zareen against his chest while reviewing security reports. He looked up when I entered, searching my face. "Thank you," I said quietly. He nodded once. We didn't discuss it. Didn't need to. Some things in his world were better left unspoken. That night, I slept for 6 hours straight. The nightmares didn't stop completely. Trauma doesn't work that way. But they became manageable. Survivable. I took the photograph and Meadow's locket to the garden at dawn. Dug a hole beneath the white rosebush we'd planted when we first moved in. Buried them both deep. You were my sister once, I whispered to the dark earth. Before jealousy poisoned you, before hatred consumed you. I'll remember that version. The girl who held my hair when I was sick, who promised to be my daughter's godmother. That's who I'm burying here. The monster who'd tried to kill me and my baby, that wasn't my sister anymore. That was something else. Something that had to be stopped. I patted the earth down and stood, wiping dirt from my hands. Inside, Zareen was crying. That beautiful, demanding newborn cry that meant she was hungry and alive and mine. I washed my hands and lifted her from her bassinet, marveling at her tiny fingers, her dark eyes, her perfect existence. Your Aunt Meadow won't meet you, I told her softly as she latched on to nurse. She's gone. But you're safe. You'll always be safe. I'll make sure of it. Raffaello appeared in the doorway, watching us with an expression I'd never seen before. Soft, vulnerable, completely human. Any regrets? He asked for the second time in a month. I looked at our daughter, alive because I'd chosen darkness over light, survival over morality, protection over forgiveness. I'd become someone I didn't entirely recognize. Harder, more ruthless, willing to accept blood on my hands if it meant keeping my family safe. No, I said firmly. I'd do it all again. He crossed the room and wrapped his arms around both of us. You're stronger than you know, amore. Meadow underestimated that. She thought she could break you. She almost did, but you survived. And our daughter will grow up knowing her mother is fierce enough to protect her from anything. He kissed my forehead, then Zareen's. Even monsters who wear familiar faces. I'd changed. The naive woman who'd believed family was sacred no matter what. She died. The day I watched my sister smile while I hemorrhaged on the floor, in her place was someone who understood the world wasn't black and white. Sometimes survival required choosing the lesser evil. Sometimes protecting the innocent meant becoming the thing you feared. I'd married into darkness when I said yes to Raffaello Torrente. I'd chosen to bring a child into that darkness. And when my sister became a threat to that child, I'd made the final choice. To let that darkness consume her rather than risk my daughter's life. Meadow was right about one thing. I'd never feel completely safe again. I'd always look over my shoulder, always check locks twice, always wake in the night to make sure my daughter was breathing. But I was alive. Zareen was alive. And that was worth more than peace of mind. I chose this life, and I'd choose it again tomorrow, and every day after. Because some loves are worth any price, even your soul. Thank you for following Celestine's story. If you want more intense mafia romance tales, subscribe and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Your support means everything.